Kofi's Journey, the African Student Survival Tale in the United States. Meet Kofi, a young African student far from home, determined to make his mark in the United States. But the road to success is filled with challenges. Will Kofi rise above the obstacles or fall under pressure? Join us on his dramatic, heartwarming journey to survival and success. This is Kofi's story. The Arrival. The scene opens on a bustling airport in the United States. The bright fluorescent lights cast a cold glow over the polished floors. The terminal is filled with people rushing from one gate to another. Kofi, a young African student, stands near the arrivals gate, holding a suitcase in his hand. His wide eyes take in the unfamiliar sights and sounds of the airport. He is both excited and nervous, his heart racing with anticipation. Kofi, a tall, slim young man from Ghana. His face shows both determination and uncertainty. He wears a simple white shirt, jeans, and sneakers. His dark skin contrasts sharply with his brightly colored kente scarf wrapped around his neck. Aunt Grace, Kofi's aunt, who has been living in the U.S. for several years. She's a woman in her mid-30s, wearing a smart jacket over a blouse, her hair neatly tied in a bun. She stands out in the crowd, holding a sign with Kofi's name on it. Airport staff, busy people walking in and out of the terminal. Kofi looks around anxiously, waiting for someone to come. He takes a deep breath, adjusting his scarf, trying to calm himself. He nervously watches the crowd, hoping to see a familiar face. Aunt Grace, calling out from the crowd, "Kofi, Kofi, over here!" Kofi turns around, a bright smile spreading across his face when he sees his aunt. He rushes over to her, his suitcase bumping against his legs. Kofi, excited, "Aunt Grace, you look just like how I remember you in those old pictures." Aunt Grace, laughing, "Well, I had to grow up sometime. Look at you, my handsome nephew. Come here, let me give you a hug." They hug tightly. Kofi's face lights up with joy, but there's a nervousness in his eyes, like he's not entirely sure what to expect from this new life ahead of him. Aunt Grace, pulling back, studying Kofi's face. "You look so grown, but I can tell you're still a little nervous. You'll be fine, Kofi. This place may be big and strange, but I'm here for you." Kofi, smiling faintly. "I hope so, Aunt Grace. I've never been this far away from home before." Aunt Grace nods, understanding his worries. Aunt Grace, "I know it's not going to be easy, but you've got a bright future ahead of you. This is just the first step, my dear." Kofi, looking around nervously. "I'm just scared, Aunt Grace. I'm far from home, and everyone looks so different. What if I can't fit in here?" Aunt Grace places a reassuring hand on Kofi's shoulder, her voice gentle but firm. Aunt Grace, "Kofi, you don't have to fit in with everyone here. Just be yourself. You're already stronger than you know. The world will see your light. We'll take it one step at a time." Kofi's eyes soften, and he nods, though there's still a lingering doubt in his expression. He shifts his suitcase and takes a deep breath. "Kofi, I'll try. I just want to make you proud." Aunt Grace, "You will, Kofi. Now let's get you settled in. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. The school, the new city, and of course getting used to the food." Kofi laughs, but his stomach churns as he follows Aunt Grace through the terminal. The first day at school. The next day, Kofi steps onto the campus of his new school. The campus is vast, with large buildings and sprawling green lawns. Students walk in groups, chatting and laughing. Kofi feels small, like a fish out of water, as he clutches his books tightly. Aunt Grace is by his side, but the large campus makes Kofi feel even more alone. Kofi. He now wears a black hoodie and jeans, blending in better with the other students. His posture is stiff, and he's trying to take in everything around him, his eyes wide as he looks at the students. Jake. A tall, confident American student with short, spiky hair and a broad smile. He's wearing a college sweatshirt and carrying a coffee cup. Jessica. A shy, quiet girl with long brown hair, sitting under a tree with a book in her hands. Kofi and Aunt Grace walk through the campus. Kofi steps unsure. He looks around, trying to act calmly, but is clearly overwhelmed. Aunt Grace notices Kofi's discomfort and speaks softly. Aunt Grace, encouragingly, "Don't worry, Kofi. This place might seem big, but you'll get used to it. Let's go meet your new classmates." As they walk, Jake notices Kofi and waves with a friendly smile. Jake, hey, are you new around here? Kofi, nervously but trying to smile. Yeah, I just arrived, from Ghana. Jake, grinning. Ghana, huh? That's awesome. I've always wanted to visit Africa. Well, welcome to the States, man. If you ever need help, just holler. Kofi's smile widens, but there's still uncertainty in his eyes. Kofi, gratefully. Thanks. I might need some help. Jake nods and walks off, waving. Aunt Grace watches Kofi closely, sensing his unease. Aunt Grace. See? People are friendly here. Don't let the big world intimidate you. Kofi nods, but his thoughts drift to his family back in Ghana. He feels a deep yearning for home. Kofi, quietly. It's just so different. I miss my mom. I miss the food, the smells, everything. Aunt Grace stops walking, turning to face Kofi. Her expression is understanding. Aunt Grace, I know, Kofi, but you're here for a reason. You'll learn and grow, and soon, this place will feel like home too. Kofi looks around once more, trying to find comfort in the unfamiliar. He's still unsure, but his aunt's words start to settle in his heart. Kofi, more determined. I'm going to make it here. I'll figure it out. The first challenge. Setting. A few weeks later, Kofi's life in the United States has settled into a routine, but the challenges are far from over. He stands at a crowded student cafeteria, staring at the menu. His stomach growls with hunger, but his eyes are filled with confusion. The food is completely unfamiliar, and the prices seem steep for his tight budget. Kofi tries to decide between a salad and a burger, but can't make up his mind. Kofi. He's now wearing a simple gray hoodie with a pair of jeans. His posture is a little more relaxed, though the uncertainty still lingers in his eyes. Jake, the confident American student from the first day, casually dressed in a t-shirt and shorts. Jessica, the shy girl, sitting at a corner table with a tray of food, reading a book. Kofi walks slowly along the line, picking up a tray. He's unsure of what to pick, hesitating at each food item. Jake approaches him with a broad grin, holding a large sandwich in his hands. Jake, teasing. Still deciding what to eat, Kofi. The food here's not that bad, trust me. Just avoid the mystery meat, though. Kofi chuckles softly, though his eyes are still unsure. Kofi. I don't even know what half of this is. Back home it's rice and stew or fufu with soup. Simple but filling. Jake. Rice and stew, huh? That sounds good. You ever tried a burger or a hot dog? Kofi. I think I'll pass on the hot dog for now. His voice trails off with a nervous laugh. Jake notices Kofi's discomfort and places a hand on his shoulder with a friendly smile. Jake. Hey, no worries. You'll get used to it. Let's just get some lunch and I'll show you around. How about we grab a bite together? You can tell me about Ghana, and I'll tell you about the US. Kofi hesitates for a moment, but then nods, his curiosity piqued. Kofi. All right, but only if you promise not to make fun of my food stories. Jake, grinning. I wouldn't dream of it. Let's eat. They grab their trays and sit at a table with Jessica, who's still engrossed in her book. She looks up and smiles shyly when she sees Kofi and Jake approaching. Jessica. Hey, Kofi, how's everything going? Kofi. It's all right. I'm still getting used to things here. The food, well, let's just say I miss home. Jessica, softly. I understand. I miss my family too. The hardest part is feeling so far away from them. Kofi's eyes soften as he listens to Jessica. He places his fork down, momentarily lost in thought. Kofi. Yeah, I miss my mom's cooking. I miss Ghana. The sounds, the people. Here, everything feels empty. Jessica nods sympathetically, and Jake looks at Kofi with a serious expression, sensing the weight of his words. Jake. It's tough being far from home, but hey, it's okay to miss it. Just don't let it pull you down. You've got a bright future here, and I know you're going to do great things. Kofi looks at Jake, his eyes reflecting the struggle between his longing for home and his desire to succeed in this new world. Kofi. I want to make something of myself here, but sometimes I feel like I'm not enough. I don't want to disappoint my family. Jessica, gently. You're doing more than enough by being here. You have a dream, and that's powerful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Kofi looks at Jessica, his face thoughtful as he absorbs her words. He feels a surge of gratitude for his new friends, yet the weight of his family's expectations still feels heavy on his shoulders. Kofi, you're right. I just wish I had a way to balance it all. I can't forget where I come from, but I also want to make something better for myself and my family. Jake, grinning. Well, that's what we're all here for, right? To build something new while remembering where we come from. We'll figure it out together. Kofi smiles faintly, feeling a little lighter, For the first time since his arrival, he begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have to face everything alone. A call from home setting. Later that evening, Kofi sits alone in his small dorm room. The walls are bare, and the bed is neatly made, but the room feels lonely. Kofi is sitting at his desk, staring at his phone. He hesitates before dialing his mother's number. The phone rings a few times before his mother picks up. Kofi, sitting at his desk, his expression weary and filled with longing for home. Mama Kofi, Kofi's mother back in Ghana. Her voice is warm but carries a note of concern. Kofi puts the phone on speaker and listens as his mother's voice fills the room. Mama Kofi, gently. Kofi, my son, how are you? We've been praying for you every day. Kofi closes his eyes, trying to keep his emotions in check. Kofi, softly. I'm okay, Mama. It's just hard. I miss you. I miss home. Mama Kofi, I know, my child. But you are there for a reason. God has a plan for you. You are strong, and we believe in you. Kofi's eyes well up with tears, but he quickly wipes them away, trying to keep his voice steady. Kofi, I don't want to disappoint you, Mama. I don't want to fail. Mama Kofi, soothingly. You will never fail, Kofi. Remember who you are. You carry the strength of our ancestors, and that will guide you. No matter where you are never alone. Kofi swallows hard, a tear escaping down his cheek as he looks at the photo of his family on his desk. Kofi, I'll make you proud, Mama. I promise. New opportunities, old wounds setting. The next week, Kofi is in a classroom, listening to a lecture on economics. The room is filled with students, some taking notes, others typing on laptops. Kofi sits at the back, his notebook open in front of him, but his mind is elsewhere. The professor's voice drones on, but Kofi can't focus. His thoughts are heavy with the conversation he had with his mother the night before. Kofi, wearing a buttoned-up shirt and jeans, trying to look attentive, but his face reveals inner turmoil. Professor Thompson, a middle-aged man with glasses and a neat suit, speaking passionately about global economics. Rachel, a friendly student with curly hair and glasses, sitting next to Kofi, occasionally glancing over at him to see if he's okay. The professor's voice is clear, but Kofi's attention is shattered. His eyes keep drifting to the clock on the wall. He barely notices when Rachel taps him on the shoulder. Rachel, whispering, Hey Kofi, you okay? You look kind of out of it. Kofi blinks, coming back to the moment, and smiles weakly at Rachel. Kofi, murmuring, Yeah, just thinking about things. It's a lot to take in, all this new information, and I don't even know how to begin. Rachel nods, understanding his frustration. Rachel, I get it. It's tough at first, but you'll get the hang of it. You seem like a smart guy, so don't stress too much. Just take it day by day. Kofi watches Rachel for a moment, her easy confidence making him feel both grateful and self-conscious. He shifts uncomfortably in his seat. Kofi, thanks. Sometimes I feel like I don't belong here, like I'm out of my depth, you know. Rachel looks at him, her expression softening. Rachel, I think everyone feels that way at some point. But you belong here, Kofi. You're here because you have something special to offer. You just have to trust yourself more. Kofi doesn't respond immediately, his mind still racing. He feels a lump in his throat, the pressure of expectations weighing him down. Kofi, quietly, I hope so. I don't want to let anyone down. Rachel gives him a reassuring smile. Rachel, you won't. And if you ever need help, don't hesitate to ask. We're all here for each other, right? Kofi looks at her, appreciating her kindness, but his thoughts soon drift back to the conversation he had with his mother the night before. The guilt of leaving his family, the pressure to succeed, the fear of failure. It's all too much sometimes. Kofi, I just wish I had someone here to talk to, someone who understands what I'm going through. Rachel hesitates, sensing the depth of Kofi's emotions. She opens her mouth to say something, but before she can, the professor's voice interrupts, calling for everyone's attention. Professor Thompson. All right, everyone, let's get back to the lesson. Kofi, I hope you're following along. We're diving into a new topic today. Kofi quickly refocuses on the professor, but his mind remains elsewhere. He scribbles down notes, but they don't make sense. His hand shakes slightly as he writes, the weight of his thoughts heavy on his shoulders. After class, Kofi exits the building, his thoughts still tangled. He walks slowly across the campus, lost in his own world. As he passes by the student union, he spots Jake and Jessica sitting outside at a table, laughing together. Without thinking, Kofi approaches them. Jake, seeing Kofi approach. Hey man, how was the lecture? You look like you've been through a battle. Kofi smiles weakly, sitting down across from them. Kofi, I wish it was just a battle. I can't focus. It's like my mind's all over the place. Jessica looks at him with concern, her voice gentle. Jessica, what's going on, Kofi? You've been kind of distant lately. Kofi looks down at his hands, trying to find the words. His mouth feels dry, but he pushes through. Kofi, it's just, I don't know. I thought coming here would be a chance to build something better for my family. But sometimes it feels like I'm losing myself in the process, like I don't even know who I am anymore. Jake and Jessica exchange looks, sensing that Kofi is dealing with something much deeper than just school stress. Jake, after a pause, it's tough, man. You're carrying a lot on your shoulders, but you're not alone. We're your friends, right? Kofi looks at Jake and Jessica, his heart swelling with a mix of gratitude and hesitation. He wants to open up, but the words don't come. He's afraid of burdening them, afraid of being vulnerable. Kofi, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to trouble anyone with my problems. Jessica places a hand on Kofi's arm, her expression firm, yet caring. Jessica, you're not a burden, Kofi. Friends help each other. That's what we're here for. Kofi looks at Jessica, feeling a surge of emotion he hadn't expected. It's almost too much to bear, but he lets the tears come, silently wiping them away. His voice cracks as he speaks. Kofi, I just don't want to disappoint my family. I don't want to fail them. Jake and Jessica sit quietly, letting Kofi speak. They don't interrupt, allowing him to let out the frustration and fear that's been building up for weeks. Jake, Kofi, man, you've already come so far. Your family is proud of you, even if they don't say it every day. Don't carry that weight alone. Kofi takes a deep breath, feeling a little lighter with each word they offer. His chest still feels tight, but the support from his friends is a reminder that he doesn't have to go through this by himself. Kofi, I guess I just have to take it one day at a time, right? Jessica, exactly, one step at a time, and we'll be here every step of the way. Kofi smiles faintly, feeling a glimmer of hope despite the uncertainty that still lingers in his heart. An unexpected opportunity setting. A few days later, Kofi is sitting in his dorm room, the late afternoon sunlight streaming through the window. He's working on an assignment, but his mind keeps drifting back to the conversation with his friends. The weight in his chest feels a little lighter, but the pressure to succeed is still there, looming over him. He glances at the clock on the wall, realizing that he's late for a club meeting. He quickly gathers his things, his hands moving nervously as he grabs his jacket and heads out the door. Kofi, wearing a casual black hoodie and jeans, he's trying to be more focused, but his nerves still get the better of him. Professor Thompson, the professor who is also the faculty advisor for a student business club on campus. Maya, a confident student from the club, an aspiring entrepreneur. She's tall, with curly hair and a business-like demeanor, always on the lookout for new ideas and talents. Kofi hurries through the campus, his footsteps echoing in the quiet evening. He reaches the building just as the meeting is about to start. He hesitates for a moment before walking in, the door opening with a soft creak. The room is filled with students, all gathered around a large table, papers and laptops scattered across it. Professor Thompson stands at the front, speaking with enthusiasm. Professor Thompson. All right, everyone, let's get started. We've got a big project coming up. Kofi, glad you could make it. We're just about to dive into brainstorming. Kofi nods, his heart racing. He feels a little out of place, not sure what to expect from this club, but he wants to try something new. He takes a seat at the back, trying to blend in as much as possible. He pulls out his notebook, but his mind starts to wander again, thinking about the future, his family, and the pressure to succeed. Maya, noticing Kofi's hesitation. Hey Kofi, you all right? You seem a little off today. Kofi turns to her, startled. He forces a smile, trying to hide his anxiety. Kofi, yeah, I'm just trying to keep up with everything. It's a lot. Maya nods, her eyes understanding. Maya, I get it. But listen, this club could be the perfect place for you to channel that energy. We're not just about business. We're about building each other up too. If you're struggling with anything, just say the word. Kofi looks at her, appreciating her kindness, but there's still a lingering doubt in his mind. Kofi, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm cut out for all this. Maya, you won't know until you try. Besides, you have something unique to offer. Your background, your experience, it's not something everyone has. Kofi's eyes flicker with uncertainty, but Maya's words plant a seed of hope in his heart. He decides to push through the doubt. Kofi, okay, I'll try. Professor Thompson notices the exchange and smiles warmly. Professor Thompson, that's the spirit, Kofi. Now let's get to work. We've got an exciting project ahead of us, and we need all the hands we can get. Let's see what ideas we come up with. Kofi takes a deep breath and begins to focus, writing down ideas on his notebook. The meeting progresses, with everyone discussing new business ideas and projects. Kofi feels more comfortable as the conversation flows, his mind shifting away from his personal worries and toward the creative energy in the room. As the meeting wraps up, Maya approaches Kofi with a friendly grin. Maya, you did great today. I could tell you were a little unsure at first, but you really brought something to the table. How about we meet up later this week to brainstorm more ideas for the project? Kofi feels a spark of excitement, something he hasn't felt in a while. It's a small step, but it's a step towards something bigger. Kofi, yeah, I'd like that. Thanks, Maya. Maya smiles and walks away, leaving Kofi to reflect on the progress he's just made. For the first time in a while, he feels a sense of purpose starting to form, even if just a small piece of the puzzle. Kofi leaves the meeting, his mind still busy but in a different way now. He walks through the campus, the evening air cool against his skin. He feels like he's slowly starting to find his place, but it's still hard not to think about his family and the expectations they have for him. Kofi, to himself under his breath, I have to make it here, for them. A phone call from home setting. The following evening, Kofi is sitting on his bed staring at his phone. The room is quiet, the only sound being the faint hum of the air conditioning. He's about to call his mother again, feeling the familiar tug of homesickness. His fingers hover over the screen before he presses the call button. The phone rings a few times before his mother answers. Mama Kofi, cheerfully. Kofi, my son, how are you? I've been waiting to hear your voice. Kofi's heart swells at the sound of his mother's voice, but the familiar homesickness grips him once again. He sits on the edge of the bed, his voice soft. Kofi, I'm doing okay, Mama. It's just hard sometimes. Mama Kofi, with concern. I know, Kofi. I know it's not easy. But remember why you're there. You have the chance to do something great. Don't forget the dream you have for your future. Kofi looks down at his hands, the weight of his mother's words settling on him. Kofi, I haven't forgotten, Mama. It's just, everything feels so different. I'm not sure if I'm strong enough to do this. Mama Kofi, firmly. You are stronger than you know, my son. You've come this far. And remember, even when things seem difficult, you have us. We're always with you. Kofi wipes away a tear that has fallen down his cheek, trying to steady his voice. Kofi, I miss you so much, Mama. Mama Kofi. I miss you too, Kofi, but you will make us proud. I know you will. Kofi smiles through his tears, comforted by his mother's words. Kofi, I'll keep pushing, Mama, for you and for me. A new challenge setting. The next day, Kofi is walking across campus, a folder full of assignments in hand. The sky is overcast, and the air feels cool, with a slight breeze that makes the leaves rustle as they fall from the trees. Kofi is deep in thought. his mind still reeling from the conversation with his mother the night before. He's trying to shake off the homesickness, but it lingers like an uninvited guest. He walks past the library, heading towards the business building for his next class, when he spots Maya standing outside, waving him over. Kofi, looking more confident in his stride but still carrying the weight of homesickness and the pressure to succeed. Maya, approaching Kofi with a warm smile, a burst of energy. Professor Thompson, the faculty advisor for the business club, who Kofi respects but also fears a little due to his expectations. Kofi hesitates for a moment but then waves back, walking towards Maya. Kofi. Hey Maya, what's up? Maya, grinning. Hey Kofi, I've got something exciting to tell you. Professor Thompson is putting together a team for a national business competition, and I think you'd be perfect for it. Kofi stops in his tracks, his heart skipping a beat. The idea of a national competition makes him both excited and nervous at the same time. Kofi, tentatively. A competition? I don't know, Maya. I'm still getting used to all this stuff. What if I mess up? Maya looks at him with a knowing smile, her confidence infectious. Maya. That's the whole point, Kofi. It's not about being perfect. It's about learning, growing, and challenging yourself. Trust me, this could be the chance you need to really show what you're made of. And besides, I know you've got some great ideas in you. You just have to trust yourself more. Kofi feels the familiar pull of doubt, but also something else, a spark of possibility. He takes a deep breath, his mind flashing back to his family, to the hopes they have for him, to his own desire to make something of himself here. Kofi, all right, I'll do it. I'll give it a try. Maya's face lights up with excitement. Maya, that's the spirit, Kofi. I knew you'd say yes. The team will be meeting tomorrow. I'll let Professor Thompson know you're in. Kofi nods, feeling a mixture of excitement and fear. The stakes feel higher now, and the pressure weighs even heavier on his shoulders. But there's something in Maya's words that stirs a new sense of determination within him. Kofi, thanks for believing in me, Maya. I won't let you down. Maya, I know you won't. Now get ready for some serious brainstorming. This is going to be fun. As Kofi watches Maya walk away, he feels a knot of nervous energy in his stomach. A national competition. It's an opportunity, but it's also a huge challenge. What if he can't handle it? What if he messes up and disappoints everyone? The thoughts rush through his mind, but he tries to push them aside. Kofi walks into the business building for his class, his heart pounding. The lecture begins, but he barely hears a word. His thoughts are consumed with the competition, with the pressure to perform, to succeed. The first team meeting setting. The next day, Kofi walks into a meeting room on the second floor of the business building. The room is large, with a long table and chairs arranged around it. There's a whiteboard at the front, and students are already gathered, chatting excitedly about the upcoming competition. Kofi feels his stomach tighten again, but he takes a deep breath and walks in. Kofi, feeling nervous but determined, wearing a simple shirt and jeans, his hands slightly shaking as he holds his notebook. Maya, already sitting at the table, talking with other team members. She waves at Kofi when she sees him. Professor Thompson, standing at the front of the room, ready to lead the meeting. Kofi enters and takes a seat next to Maya, who immediately gives him a friendly smile. Maya, you made it! Ready to get started? Kofi nods, trying to mask the nervousness he feels. He pulls out his notebook, but his hands are still a little shaky. The room is buzzing with energy, and Kofi feels a little out of place, but he's determined not to back out now. Professor Thompson, clapping his hands to get attention. All right, everyone, let's settle down. I'm excited to see how this team comes together. The competition is fierce, but I believe we have what it takes to win. Kofi, I'm glad you could join us. Kofi nods at Professor Thompson, feeling the weight of his expectations already pressing down on him. He glances around the room at the other team members. There's Jake, sitting confidently, and Jessica, quietly writing in her notebook. Everyone looks so put together, so sure of themselves. Professor Thompson. Now let's get to work. We'll start by brainstorming some ideas for our project. Kofi, you're new to this, but I have no doubt you'll contribute something valuable. So let's hear it. What do you think? Kofi feels all eyes on him. His heart races, his palms sweaty. He takes a deep breath, his mind blank for a moment. But then he remembers why he's here, the hope he carries for his family, for his future. He stands up slowly, his voice shaking at first. Kofi, well, I think we could focus on a project that integrates sustainability with business practices. Back home, we have a lot of challenges with waste management and resources, and I think there's a lot of potential for innovation in that area. Maybe we could develop a business model that addresses these issues while also promoting economic growth. The room falls silent for a moment, everyone processing Kofi's idea. Professor Thompson looks impressed, nodding thoughtfully. Professor Thompson, that's an interesting perspective, Kofi. I like it. Let's explore that idea further. Maya, why don't you take some notes, and let's see where we can go with this. Kofi sits back down, his heart still pounding, but a feeling of accomplishment rising in his chest. Maybe he doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe his ideas matter. Moving forward setting. The next few weeks pass in a whirlwind of meetings, brainstorming sessions, and late-night study groups. Kofi has thrown himself into the competition, focusing on his team's project. The idea of integrating sustainability with business practices has gained traction, and the team has been working tirelessly to develop a solid business model. Kofi has found his voice, his ideas becoming an integral part of the team's strategy. But the pressure is mounting, and with the competition drawing nearer, his anxiety begins to grow once again. Kofi is in the library, surrounded by stacks of books and his laptop, working on refining the business proposal. His eyes are tired, but he refuses to stop. Every now and then, he glances at his phone, but he's unable to bring himself to call home. The pressure he feels to succeed weighs heavily on his chest, and he doesn't want to burden his family with his doubts. As he types, his fingers slow, and his mind drifts. Kofi, now more confident in his role, but still struggling with the weight of his responsibilities. Maya, the constant motivator in the team, who seems to always be one step ahead. Professor Thompson, keeping the team focused and pushing them to reach their potential. Jake, Kofi's teammate, who has become a reliable friend and a source of encouragement. As Kofi takes a break, he hears a knock on the library door. He turns to see Maya standing there, holding a coffee cup in one hand and a folder in the other. She smiles at him, her eyes bright with excitement. Maya, hey Kofi, mind if I join you? Kofi looks up from his work, a small, tired smile on his face. Kofi, yeah, sure, I could use a break anyway. Maya steps into the room, setting her coffee down on the table before sitting next to Kofi. She leans over to look at his laptop screen, noting the numbers and figures he's been working on. Maya, leaning in. You've been at this for hours. You're going to burn yourself out if you keep going like this. Kofi rubs his eyes, clearly exhausted, but tries to shrug it off. Kofi, I need to get everything right. We're so close, Maya. I can't mess this up. Maya looks at him, her face softening with empathy. She can see the stress written all over him. Maya, Kofi, I get it. This is important, but you've been giving it your all. You need to take a step back sometimes, or it won't help anyone. Kofi sighs, looking down at his hands. He's starting to feel the weight of his decisions again. His thoughts wander back to his family, to his mother's expectations, to the fear of failure. Kofi, quietly. What if I fail, Maya? What if I let everyone down? Maya reaches over and places a hand on his shoulder, her voice firm but comforting. Maya, you won't. You're not in this alone. We're all in this together. And failure isn't the end, Kofi. It's part of the journey. You're already doing more than most people ever do. You've come so far already. Kofi looks at her, the sincerity in her words calming his racing thoughts. He takes a deep breath, nodding slowly. Kofi. Thanks, Maya. I needed to hear that. Maya smiles, picking up her coffee cup and leaning back in her chair. Maya. No problem. Now why don't we grab some dinner? You can't work on an empty stomach. Kofi laughs softly, the tension in his shoulders easing just a little. He picks up his own coffee cup and nods. Kofi. All right. But only if you promise not to let me talk about business for the next hour. Maya, grinning. Deal. As they leave the library together, Kofi feels a weight lift from his chest. Maya's support has made a difference. He still doesn't have all the answers, but for the first time in a while, he feels like he doesn't have to carry the burden alone. He steps into the cool evening air, the weight of the competition still present. But for the first time, he feels like he's moving forward, not just surviving. The competition day setting. The day of the competition has arrived. Kofi and his team stand backstage, waiting for their turn to present their business proposal. The atmosphere is tense but filled with excitement. Teams from all over the country are gathered in a large conference hall with banners and tables showcasing their ideas. Kofi can feel the nerves building up in his stomach, but he forces himself to focus. The team's project, a sustainable business model focused on waste management and economic growth, has come together, but the final presentation is crucial. As Kofi looks around at his teammates, he sees the same mix of nervousness and determination in their eyes. Kofi, trying to keep his nerves in check, wearing a sharp suit that feels slightly uncomfortable but necessary. Maya, full of energy, ready to take on the challenge, but she senses Kofi's anxiety and gives him an encouraging smile. Professor Thompson, calm, collected, and ready to guide the team through the final stretch. Professor Thompson walks over to Kofi and Maya, offering a reassuring nod. Professor Thompson, you've done the work, now just present it the best way you know how. Remember, it's about the journey, not just the outcome. Trust in your ideas. Kofi nods, trying to steady his breath as the team gets ready to walk onto the stage. He looks at Maya, who gives him a final thumbs up. The team takes their positions, and Kofi steps forward, the spotlight hitting him for the first time in the competition. His hands shake, but he squares his shoulders, ready to give everything he has. The presentation setting. The competition hall is filled with the hum of eager students, faculty members, and industry experts milling about. Kofi and his team stand behind their display table, the spotlight now firmly on them. Their project, displayed on a large screen behind them, showcases a sustainable business model for waste management. Kofi's heart races as he watches other teams present, all brimming with confidence. But when it's their turn, he takes a deep breath, knowing that this is it, the moment they've worked so hard for. Kofi, standing at the front with his team, wearing a suit, his nerves on full display but trying to hold it together. Maya, standing beside Kofi, her face filled with determination and excitement. She exudes confidence as the team's leader. Professor Thompson, observing quietly from the side, ready to step in if needed. Kofi feels his pulse quicken as he steps to the podium, his hands slightly shaking, but he forces himself to focus. The microphone picks up the sound of his nervous breath, and for a split second, he doubts himself. He glances at Maya, who gives him a small, reassuring smile. His mind steadies, and he begins. Kofi, voice a little shaky at first. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kofi, and I'm here today with my team to present our solution for one of the most pressing challenges facing the world, sustainable waste management and its role in driving economic growth in developing nations. He pauses, letting his words sink in, looking around the room at the judges and audience members, some nodding, others jotting down notes. Kofi's heart beats louder in his chest, but he keeps going. Kofi, steadier now. Our project is centered on the concept of turning waste into a resource. In many parts of the world, including my home country, waste management is a critical issue that impacts public health, the environment, and economic stability. But what if we could change that? What if we could create a business model that not only reduces waste, but also creates jobs and supports local economies? He gestures to the screen behind him, where the visuals of their business model, diagrams of waste-to-energy solutions, and economic forecasts are displayed. Maya steps forward to elaborate, her voice clear and confident. Maya, we've designed a comprehensive model that integrates recycling, waste-to-energy technologies, and community engagement to turn what is seen as trash into valuable resources. By creating local recycling centers and waste-to-energy plants, we can reduce waste and provide affordable electricity to underserved areas. This model also promotes job creation, skill development, and small business growth. Kofi looks at Maya as she speaks, nodding along, but his eyes also scan the audience, hoping that they're following along. When Maya finishes, Kofi steps forward again to wrap up. Kofi. In conclusion, our solution is not just a business, it's a movement that can transform the way we think about waste and the way we approach sustainability. It's a way to empower communities, promote environmental responsibility, and drive economic development. Thank you. Kofi's heart is racing as the presentation ends, and the room falls silent for a moment. He breathes a sigh of relief, but the silence is soon broken by applause. Kofi looks at his team, feeling a wave of pride wash over him. They did it. They truly did it. The result setting. Later that afternoon, the competition ended. The final presentations are complete, and the judges are deliberating. Kofi and his team sit together at a table, nervously waiting for the results. The room is buzzing with excitement, but Kofi feels like time is standing still. His mind is filled with thoughts of his family, the long journey he's been on, and the pressure to make them proud. Kofi, sitting at the table looking anxious but trying to stay calm, his hands are folded tightly in front of him. Maya, sitting beside Kofi, her legs crossed, tapping her foot nervously as she watches the judges. Jake, sitting next to Maya, his usual confident demeanor now replaced with a hint of tension. Kofi glances around the room, his nerves still on edge. He catches sight of Professor Thompson, who is sitting with his arms crossed, watching the judges closely. Kofi feels like he's in a dream. Part of him is proud of the work they've done, but another part of him is afraid of falling short. Maya, whispering to Kofi, "You okay?" Kofi nods, though the worry on his face is clear. Kofi, "Yeah, just waiting for the verdict, I guess." The room grows quieter as the judges approach the stage, holding a stack of papers. The team members start to straighten up in their seats, anticipation building with each passing second. Professor Thompson, whispering to the team, "Whatever happens, you did well. I'm proud of what you've accomplished." Kofi nods at his professor's words, but his stomach twists as the judges take the microphone. Judge 1, smiling. "First, I want to say that this year's competition was fierce, and the ideas presented were impressive. We've had a tough time choosing the winner, but after much deliberation, we've come to a decision." The tension in the room is palpable. Kofi leans forward slightly, his hands gripping the edge of the table. Judge 2, holding up an envelope. "And the winner of this year's national business competition is Team Sustainability from the University of XYZ." The room erupts in applause. Kofi's heart skips a beat, and for a moment he's frozen. Then suddenly his team is on their feet cheering and hugging each other. Kofi feels a rush of emotions, relief, joy, disbelief. They won. They really won. Maya grinning, grabbing Kofi by the shoulders. "We did it. Kofi, we did it." Kofi's eyes are wide, his mouth hanging open in astonishment. He looks around at his teammates, each one beaming with excitement. Kofi, in awe. "We actually won." Professor Thompson joins them at the front, clapping Kofi on the back with a proud smile. Professor Thompson, "Congratulations, everyone. You earned this. Now go and celebrate. You've made a real impact." Kofi stands there, feeling the weight of the moment sink in. For the first time since he arrived in the United States, he feels like he's found his place. The journey isn't over yet, but this victory is proof that he can overcome whatever challenges come his way. The celebration. Setting. That evening, Kofi and his team are at a local restaurant, celebrating their victory. The atmosphere is lively, with the hum of conversation and the clink of glasses. They've ordered a large meal to celebrate, and the table is filled with food and drinks. Kofi feels like he's floating, the weight of the day's event still sinking in. He looks around at his team, all of them smiling and laughing, their faces glowing with pride. The feeling of accomplishment is overwhelming, but Kofi can't shake the sense that the pressure is still there, lurking beneath the surface. Kofi, now more confident but still processing the magnitude of the victory. Maya, full of energy, enjoying the moment, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Jake, laughing along with the group, his usual cool demeanor replaced by warmth. Professor Thompson, sipping his drink, his face proud but calm, observing the team's dynamic. Kofi takes a sip of his drink, his mind still racing with thoughts. Maya notices the way he's quiet and leans over to him. Maya, teasing. Hey, what's going on? You should be celebrating. You're part of the reason we won. Kofi smiles faintly, but there's a hint of unease in his eyes. Kofi, I don't know. I guess I'm still processing it all. It just feels surreal. I mean, we won. That was my idea, and now it's real. I don't know how to feel about it yet. Maya, understanding. It's a lot to take in, but you did it. You brought that idea to life. You've earned every bit of this. Kofi nods slowly, feeling the pride and the pressure mingling together. His phone vibrates on the table, and he quickly glances at it. It's a message from his mother. Message from Mama Kofi. Kofi, we are so proud of you. I know you've been working so hard, and it's paying off. Keep pushing, my son. Your future is bright. Kofi's heart swells with emotion as he reads the message. He takes a deep breath, feeling a lump in his throat. Kofi, murmuring to himself, I did it for you, Mama. Professor Thompson, noticing Kofi's moment of silence, turns to him with a smile. Professor Thompson, I see that smile, Kofi. That's the kind of pride that only comes from hard work. You should be proud of yourself, too. This is just the beginning. Kofi looks up at his professor, his eyes now filled with a sense of purpose. He realizes that the journey isn't over. This win is a step, not the destination. There's still so much to do, so much more to accomplish. Kofi, thanks, Professor. I'll keep going. This is just the first step. Maya, noticing Kofi's shift in energy, raises her glass in a toast. Maya, to Team Sustainability, we did it. Everyone raises their glasses and the team cheers, the sound of clinking glasses filling the room. Kofi's heart beats a little faster, a mix of excitement and determination filling him. The road ahead is still uncertain, but for the first time, he feels ready to face it. A call from home setting. The following evening, Kofi finds himself alone in his dorm room. The excitement of the competition and celebration has worn off, and the familiar sense of homesickness has crept back in. He stares at his phone, contemplating whether to call home. His fingers hover over the screen, and he finally presses the call button. The phone rings, and after a few moments, his mother answers. Mama Kofi, warmly. Kofi, my son. I've been waiting to hear from you. How did it go? Tell me everything. Kofi smiles at the sound of his mother's voice. He sits down on his bed, his heart swelling with emotion. Kofi. Mama, we did it. We won the competition. It's all real now. Mama Kofi, excited. Praise God. I knew you could do it. You've made us so proud, Kofi. You've worked so hard for this moment. Kofi's eyes well up with tears, and he tries to hold them back, but the emotions overwhelm him. He takes a deep breath, trying to steady his voice. Kofi, I couldn't have done it without you, Mama. Everything I do is for you and for all of us. This victory, it's ours. Mama Kofi, softly. You're making your family proud, my son. Keep pushing forward. The road may be tough, but I know you'll go far. I believe in you. Kofi feels the weight of her words, the love and support reaching through the phone. For a moment, the distance between them doesn't seem as far. Kofi, I'll keep pushing, Mama. I won't stop. I promise. New beginning setting. The next morning, Kofi wakes up early to prepare for a meeting with Professor Thompson. The win at the competition has brought a new wave of recognition to their project, and they've been invited to present it to several potential investors. Kofi feels a mix of excitement and nerves. The pressure to succeed is heavier now, but the thought of bringing their idea to life on a larger scale gives him a renewed sense of purpose. He dresses quickly, adjusting his tie and taking a deep breath before leaving his dorm room. Kofi, dressed in a suit, his posture a mix of confidence and nervous anticipation. Professor Thompson, calm and composed as always, ready to guide Kofi and the team. Maya, ready for the next step, her energy and optimism unwavering. Kofi walks across campus, the sun rising in the distance. The day feels different. There's a sense of anticipation in the air. As he approaches the business building, he spots Maya and Jake already waiting outside. Maya, grinning. There you are, ready for the big meeting today? Kofi, I think so. I'm just a little nervous. What if the investors don't believe in our idea? Maya places a hand on his shoulder, offering a reassuring smile. Maya, Kofi, we've already shown that our idea works. Now it's just about selling it to them. You've got this. We've got this. Kofi nods, feeling a little more confident with Maya's words. He takes a deep breath, and the three of them walk into the building together, ready for whatever comes next. The investor meeting. Setting. Inside the business building's conference room, Kofi, Maya, and Jake stand at the front, ready to present their project to a group of potential investors. The room is sleek and professional, with a long table where the investors are seated. They are all older, experienced professionals, dressed in business attire and looking intently at the team. Kofi feels a knot in his stomach but pushes through it. This is their chance to take the project to the next level, and he won't let it slip away. Kofi, stepping up to the podium, his voice a little shaky but determined. Maya, standing confidently beside Kofi, ready to take over when needed. Investors, a group of serious professionals, some taking notes, others listening intently. Kofi adjusts the microphone in front of him and looks out at the investors. His heart pounds in his chest, but he tries to steady his breath. He begins to speak, his voice steadying as he goes. Kofi, good afternoon. My name is Kofi, and along with my team, we've developed a business model focused on transforming waste into a resource. This is not just about recycling, it's about sustainability, economic growth, and creating jobs in communities that need it the most. He gestures to the screen behind him, which displays visuals of the project's potential impact. Maya steps forward, her voice clear and confident as she continues the presentation. Maya, our model leverages waste-to-energy technologies and local recycling efforts to tackle both environmental and economic issues. By establishing local plants and businesses that can process waste, we not only reduce pollution but also create jobs and provide affordable energy to underserved areas. Kofi watches the investors as Maya speaks, trying to gauge their reactions. Some look impressed, others are focused, writing down notes. The silence is deafening as the team finishes their presentation. Professor Thompson, who has been observing from the back of the room, gives Kofi a reassuring nod. The lead investor, a middle-aged man with sharp features and glasses, looks up from his notes and addresses the team. Investor 1. This is an interesting concept, but we have concerns. How do you plan to scale this? And what's the guarantee that local communities will embrace these changes? There are a lot of variables at play here. Kofi takes a deep breath, ready for the challenge. He looks at Maya, who gives him a quick nod, signaling that he should answer. Kofi, scaling will be one of the key challenges, but we've done extensive research into markets that are ready for this kind of solution. We're starting small, but our model is adaptable to different environments. As for community engagement, we plan to work closely with local leaders, provide education on the benefits of waste management, and ensure that the community has ownership in the process. It's not just about implementing a business model, it's about changing mindsets and creating long-term sustainable growth. The investors listen closely, and the lead investor leans forward, his expression thoughtful. Investor 1. Interesting. I appreciate your thoroughness. We'll need to see more financial projections and some data on potential returns, but this is something we could definitely consider. Kofi feels a weight lift off his shoulders, but there's still work to be done. He nods, grateful for the positive feedback, but aware that they're not out of the woods yet. Kofi, thank you for your time. We're happy to provide any additional information and answer any questions you might have. The meeting ends with the investors thanking the team and telling them they will be in touch soon. As Kofi, Maya, and Jake walk out of the room, the tension begins to ease. They've done what they came here to do, and now it's just a matter of waiting. The waiting game. Setting. A few days later, Kofi, Maya, and Jake are sitting in their favorite cafe near campus. The excitement from the investor meeting is still fresh in their minds, but the reality of the waiting game has begun to settle in. Kofi stirs his coffee absent-mindedly, his thoughts consumed by what the investors might decide. Maya and Jake are chatting, but Kofi can't seem to focus on anything other than the uncertainty of what comes next. Kofi, deep in thought, staring into his coffee cup, his mind racing with possibilities. Maya, sitting across from Kofi, trying to keep the mood light but sensing his unease. Jake, calm as always, his usual easygoing demeanor present even in the face of the unknown. Maya notices Kofi's distant expression and nudges him gently. Maya, Kofi, you've got that thinking too hard look again. Relax. We've done everything we can. Now it's just a matter of waiting. Kofi, sighing. I know, it's just everything's riding on this. If we get the funding, this could change everything for the project. It could take us to the next level. Jake, smiling. Exactly, and you guys have proven it already. The competition win, the idea, it's all solid. If they don't invest, that's their loss. Kofi glances up at Jake, appreciating his optimism, but still feeling the weight of the situation. Kofi, I just can't help but think about what happens if they don't see the potential in our idea. I mean, there's so much at stake here. This could be my shot, my chance to make a real difference. Maya's expression softens, and she leans forward, her voice filled with understanding. Maya, Kofi, you already are making a difference. This project, your passion, the way you've put everything into it, none of that goes away, no matter the outcome. We've already proven we can do this. And no matter what happens, this journey isn't over. It's just the beginning. Kofi smiles faintly, but he still feels the gnawing anxiety in his chest. Just then, his phone buzzed. It's an email notification from the investors. Kofi, nervously. It's them. I think this is it. Maya and Jake both lean in, their faces full of anticipation. Kofi hesitates for a moment, then opens the email. He reads it quickly, and as he finishes, he exhales a deep breath. Kofi, a mix of relief and disbelief. They're interested. They want to meet again to discuss the details. They're offering partial funding, but they want to see more projections on growth and scalability. But they're in. The words hit like a wave. Kofi can hardly believe what he's reading. Maya and Jake both erupt in excitement, high-fiving and grinning from ear to ear. Maya, I knew it. I knew they were going to come through. Jake, that's awesome, Kofi. You did it, man. This is huge. Kofi's hands shake as he sets the phone down on the table, trying to process the news. A sense of relief washes over him, but the reality of the next step starts to sink in. The work isn't over. If anything, it's just beginning. Kofi, still in shock. I can't believe it. We're really doing this, but now we've got to take things to the next level. We've got more work to do. Maya. Of course, but for now, take a moment to breathe. We've made it this far, and we're going to go even further. You've earned this, Kofi. Kofi nods, a smile finally spreading across his face. The weight that had been sitting heavy on his shoulders is lighter now, but the pressure of what comes next still lingers. For the first time in a long while, though, Kofi feels like he's on the right path. They've got a chance now, a real chance to make their vision a reality. A new set of challenges. The next week, Kofi is sitting in a meeting room with Maya and Jake, preparing their final presentation for the investors. The pressure is on now. They have the funding, but it's only partial. The investors want to see more projections on the growth of the business model and its scalability. Kofi feels a renewed sense of responsibility, not just for the project, but for his team and the future they are now working toward. He flips through the financial projections, trying to ensure everything is perfect. Kofi, focused, wearing a suit, but with visible signs of stress from the workload. Maya, standing confidently, holding a laptop and assisting with finalizing the presentation. Jake, relaxed as usual but focused on the details of the presentation. Kofi looks over at Maya, who's already putting the final touches on the slides, her face determined and calm. Kofi, sighing. I know we've worked hard on this, but what if we still don't have everything they want? What if it's not enough? Maya pauses and looks up at Kofi, her expression soft but firm. Maya, we've done everything we can. These projections, the work we've put in, it's all there. We just need to show them what we believe in and what we know will work. Jake, who's been reading over some documents, looks up with a smile. Jake, you've got this, Kofi. You already took the hardest step. We're going to show them why this is worth the investment. Kofi takes a deep breath, nodding slowly. He looks at his team, feeling grateful for their support, but also feeling the weight of their expectations. The next step is crucial, and he knows that it could make or break their vision. Kofi, all right, let's do this. Let's show them what we've got. The final pitch. The day of the final investor meeting has arrived. The team is seated in a sleek, high-rise conference room overlooking the city below. The room is filled with anticipation. Kofi, Maya, and Jake sit around a polished wooden table, their final presentation ready to be delivered. The investors are seated across from them, their expressions serious but engaged. The pressure is palpable. Kofi can feel the weight of the moment, knowing that this is the defining pitch that will determine the future of their project. Kofi, wearing a sharp suit, his face a mix of confidence and nervous anticipation. His hands are resting on the table, ready to present. Maya, focused, standing confidently with the clicker for the presentation, ready to take the lead if needed. Jake, relaxed but serious, sitting next to Maya, offering support with his presence. Investors, a group of serious professionals, including the lead investor, a middle-aged man with a no-nonsense attitude. Kofi stands first, stepping up to the front of the room. His heart races, but he forces himself to focus. The large screen behind him displays the team's refined business proposal, highlighting the financial projections, scalability, and potential impacts of the project. He looks out at the investors, his nerves easing slightly as he begins. Kofi, voice steady but with a trace of excitement. Good afternoon. My name is Kofi, and this is my team. Today, we're here to present to you a business model that not only addresses a critical global issue, but also offers a sustainable solution for long-term growth. Our project, focused on turning waste into a resource, is more than just an environmental solution. It's a business with real economic potential. Kofi gestures to the screen behind him, where a slide with financial projections and a visual map of their proposed business model is displayed. Kofi. Waste management is a challenge that's faced by many communities around the world, particularly in developing nations. But what if we could turn that waste into a valuable resource? What if we could harness the potential of waste-to-energy technologies while also providing jobs and reducing environmental pollution? He steps aside as Maya steps forward to elaborate, her presence calm and confident. She clicks to the next slide, which shows a detailed breakdown of the project's scalability and its future potential. Maya. We've developed a scalable solution that starts with local recycling centers and waste-to-energy plants. These centers don't just reduce waste. They create jobs, stimulate local economies, and provide affordable energy to underserved communities. We've also projected a steady return on investment over the next 5 years, with expansion possibilities in multiple regions. The investors look impressed, some nodding along as Maya speaks. Kofi feels a sense of pride but also an underlying nervousness. This is it, the moment of truth. Jake, as Maya finishes, our team's expertise combined with the model we've developed makes us uniquely positioned to lead this effort. We're not just addressing waste management, we're addressing a critical need for sustainable energy, economic development, and environmental protection. Our model has the potential to scale globally, and with your support, we can make this vision a reality. The investors exchange looks, considering the presentation carefully. After a few moments of silence, the lead investor, who had been quietly watching, speaks up. Investor 1. This is certainly an interesting proposition, but as you know, we need to ensure that there's a clear path to profitability, especially in the early stages. How do you plan to mitigate the risks involved in the initial setup and operations? Kofi, his heart still pounding, steps forward once again, prepared to answer. He clears his throat and looks at the lead investor, his voice confident. Kofi. We've accounted for those risks in our financial projections. The first 2 years will focus on setting up pilot programs and partnerships with local governments, which will help minimize risk. We've also planned for a gradual increase in revenue generation as we expand. Our initial funding will cover the infrastructure and community outreach, and as we build trust in local markets, we expect a steady increase in both revenue and scale. The investors listen closely, and the lead investor nods, still considering Kofi's answer. The atmosphere in the room is tense but thoughtful, with everyone absorbed in the details of the proposal. Investor 1. You've clearly put a lot of thought into this. I'm interested to see how you move forward, especially with the scalability you've outlined. We'll need to see more specifics on community engagement and how you plan to handle the logistical challenges, but overall, this has potential. Professor Thompson, who has been observing quietly from the back, steps forward to offer his own support. Professor Thompson, we've already begun to engage with community leaders and local stakeholders. We're not just proposing a business, we're proposing a partnership with the communities we aim to serve. We believe that's the key to long-term success. The investors nod, and the lead investor looks at his colleagues, then back at Kofi and his team. Investor 1. All right, we're impressed with your vision. We'll need to finalize the details, but we're interested in moving forward with this. Expect a follow-up from our team soon. Kofi feels a rush of relief and excitement flood over him. They've done it. The investors are on board, at least in principle. The road ahead is still long, but this is a significant milestone. Maya, whispering to Kofi as the meeting ends, I told you we could do it. Kofi smiles, finally allowing himself to relax a little. As the meeting concludes, the team shakes hands with the investors, feeling a sense of accomplishment wash over them. The investors thank them for their time, and the team exits the room, their hearts still racing but filled with a renewed sense of hope. Moving forward. A few days after the investor meeting, Kofi, Maya, and Jake are back at the university, working in their usual meeting room. The excitement of the presentation is still fresh, but now they must prepare for the next phase, finalizing the deal with the investors. The pressure has never felt greater. Kofi is pacing back and forth, reviewing documents and financial projections, while Maya is on her laptop, working on refining the pitch deck for the investors' final review. Jake is on the phone with potential partners, trying to build relationships that could help with the logistics of their waste-to-energy project. Kofi, focused and determined, still processing the gravity of their success, but now feeling the weight of the next steps. Maya, calm and composed, taking charge of the final presentation and negotiations with the investors. Jake, relaxed but attentive, using his network to secure the necessary partnerships for the project. Kofi stops pacing for a moment and looks out the window, taking a deep breath. He's overwhelmed by how much there still is to do. Maya looks up from her laptop, noticing his unease. Maya. Hey, you all right? You've been pacing for the past hour. Kofi sits down at the table, rubbing his eyes. Kofi. Yeah, just thinking about the next steps. The investors are excited, but we have to prove that we can actually execute this on a large scale. The pressure's really starting to sink in. Maya. I get it. This is the next big step. But remember, we've come this far. The hard work we've already put in is the foundation. Now we just have to build on it. We've got this. Kofi looks at her, trying to take in her words. He nods slowly, trying to shake off the anxiety. Kofi, you're right. We just need to focus on the details and everything else will fall into place. At that moment, Jake hangs up the phone and walks over to the table, looking upbeat. Jake, got some good news. I've secured a meeting with a potential partner who can help with the logistics side of the project. They're experienced in waste management infrastructure, so this could be a major step forward in getting the project off the ground. Maya looks pleased, and Kofi smiles, feeling a little relieved. Maya, that's great news. We'll need all the help we can get with the logistics and supply chain, especially when we start scaling up. Kofi nods, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the momentum of their progress. He knows that the project is starting to take shape in a way that's beyond just an idea. It's becoming something tangible. The fear of failure still lingers, but he pushes it aside for now, focusing on the tasks ahead. Kofi, okay, so let's focus on this meeting with the investors. We need to show them that we're ready to execute and that we have the partnerships in place to make it happen. Maya, exactly. I'll finalize the pitch deck, and Jake, you can handle the logistics side. I'll be working with the investors on the financials and timeline. Jake, sounds like a plan. Let's do this. They all nod, feeling the excitement of taking another step forward. The future is still uncertain, but for the first time, Kofi feels like he has a team that he can trust. Together, they're building something bigger than just a business. They're building a movement. The final review. A week later, Kofi and his team are back in the conference room with the investors, ready for the final review. This is the moment when they will either secure the full funding they need or face the reality of needing to make changes. The room is quieter now, the mood more serious than it was during the initial meeting. Kofi, Maya, and Jake sit at the front, facing the investors, each of them feeling the weight of this moment. Maya stands and begins the presentation, her voice calm and clear. Maya, thank you for your continued interest in our project. Over the past week, we've refined our plans and have secured the necessary partnerships to help us scale our operations. We're confident that we can execute this project effectively and bring sustainable energy and job creation to communities that need it most. Kofi watches the investors closely as Maya presents the updated financial projections and new partnerships they've secured. He can see the investors taking notes, some nodding in agreement as they listen. Maya moves on to discussing the timeline, the projected growth, and the expansion plans that they've revised based on the feedback they received earlier. Maya, our initial phase will focus on building pilot projects in 3 key regions. Once those are operational and the financials are stabilized, we'll move forward with expansion into additional markets. Kofi takes a deep breath, ready to step in when needed. As Maya finishes, he turns to the lead investor, who's been quietly listening. Investor 1. This is a solid plan. I'm impressed with how you've refined your projections and addressed the scalability concerns. But there's still one major concern. How will you handle the cultural and social challenges in the communities where you plan to operate? Many of these areas have very different ways of doing business. Kofi stands ready to answer. He knows that this is a critical point in the conversation. Kofi, we've accounted for these challenges in our approach. We plan to work directly with local leaders and involve community members in every step of the process. We're not just coming into these communities as outsiders. We're building partnerships with them, ensuring that they're invested in the success of the project. It's about creating ownership and pride within the community, not just providing a service. The investors exchange looks, and the lead investor speaks again. Investor 1. I appreciate your focus on community engagement. That's something we've been looking for in a project. With the right partnerships and support from local stakeholders, I think this could be very successful. Kofi, Maya, and Jake exchanged a look of quiet relief. They've made it through the toughest part of the meeting. Maya, we're ready to move forward with your support. Thank you for your time and consideration. The meeting ends and the investors stand, extending their hands to Kofi and his team. Investor 2. We'll be in touch shortly with the next steps. Congratulations on your work so far. It's an impressive proposal. The team walks out of the room, their hearts racing but filled with a sense of accomplishment. They've come this far, and now they've taken one more step toward turning their dream into a reality. The call to action. The days following the investor meeting are filled with anticipation. Kofi, Maya, and Jake are back at their campus office, sitting around a table piled with notes, financial projections, and their business model. The email from the investors still hasn't come, and the uncertainty of what comes next hangs in the air. Kofi feels like he's in a constant state of waiting, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. His phone buzzes, interrupting his thoughts, and when he looks down, it's an email from the lead investor. Kofi, nervous, his hands gripping the edge of the table, waiting for the response from the investors. Maya, calm but equally eager for news, sitting across from Kofi, reviewing the latest documents. Jake, relaxed as ever, scrolling through his phone, but looking up when Kofi opens the email. Kofi's eyes scan the email quickly, his heart racing as he reads the response from the investors. Kofi, softly. They're in, they're offering full funding, but they want to see a more detailed operational plan for the first year. Maya's face breaks into a grin as she stands up, walking over to Kofi. Maya, Kofi, that's amazing. Full funding. This is what we've been working for. Kofi stands slowly, still trying to process the news. His body feels light, as if the weight of the past few months is lifting, but there's still work to be done. Kofi, it's incredible, but it's not over yet. They want us to deliver the first-year plan with milestones and risk assessments. We've got a lot more work ahead of us. Jake stands up and claps Kofi on the back, his grin wide. Jake, of course, but we've already done the hardest part. Now we just need to make sure the plan's solid and we're ready to hit the ground running. Kofi nods, but his mind is already racing, thinking about what comes next. The financial backing is in place, but the real test is turning their vision into action, delivering on the promises they've made. He looks at Maya and Jake, realizing that he's not alone in this anymore. They're a team, and together they can make it happen. Kofi, all right, we need to focus. Let's get to work on that operational plan. We'll break it down, one piece at a time. This is our moment. Maya and Jake nod in agreement, and the team begins to divide up tasks, brainstorming the details of their operational strategy. They're all working toward the same goal, but now the challenge is greater, turning their idea into a thriving, sustainable business. The first steps. The team has spent the next week working on the detailed operational plan. Late into the evening, Kofi, Maya, and Jake gather in the meeting room again. They've broken the plan down into manageable steps, each with clear objectives, risks, and solutions. Kofi can feel the momentum building, but he's also aware of the challenges that lie ahead. Getting the project off the ground will require more than just good ideas. They need to execute flawlessly. Kofi, focused and determined, working on refining the first-year plan and ensuring all the details are in place. Maya, strategic and calm, reviewing the milestones and making sure they align with the investors' expectations. Jake, practical, working on the logistical aspects of the plan, ensuring that they have the right partners and resources in place. Kofi looks over at Maya, who's carefully reviewing a list of project milestones. Kofi, we've got the major milestones outlined. Now we need to make sure we can deliver on each one. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Maya, that's why we're doing this together. Each of us has a part to play in making sure everything runs smoothly. The first year is crucial, but it's all about building momentum and proving that we can execute. Kofi nods and looks over at Jake, who's been reviewing logistics documents. Kofi, what's the latest on the partners we're bringing in for the logistics? Jake, we've got a few solid partners lined up. They're experts in waste management infrastructure and renewable energy. I'm confident they'll be on board, but we need to lock in the final contracts soon. Kofi feels a wave of relief, knowing that they have the right team to execute the operational side. But still, there's the looming challenge of building trust with local communities. He knows that the project won't succeed without the buy-in of the people it's meant to serve. Kofi, thoughtfully, once the logistics and infrastructure are in place, we need to start engaging with the communities. That's going to be our hardest challenge, getting people to believe in what we're doing and taking ownership of the project. Maya, nodding. Community engagement is everything. We've already started working on that, but it will take time to build that trust. If we involve them from the beginning and show that we're invested in their future, we can make it work. Kofi takes a deep breath, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead is difficult, but it's also full of potential. They've already come so far, and he believes in their vision. Kofi, let's keep pushing. We've got everything we need. We just have to stay focused and execute. The community outreach begins. Weeks have passed since the team secured full funding, and they are now in the final stages of their operational plan. The next major step is engaging with local communities. Kofi, Maya, and Jake are on a flight to one of the regions they've identified for their first pilot project. The excitement in the air is palpable. This is the moment when their vision will start to take shape in the real world. The region is remote, with limited infrastructure, but it's the perfect place to implement their waste-to-energy solution. Kofi, ready to face the real-world challenges of community engagement and implementation. He feels a mix of anticipation and responsibility. Maya, leading the community engagement efforts, determined to ensure that the locals feel involved and valued in the project. Jake, handling logistics and partnerships on the ground, ensuring everything runs smoothly once they arrive. The team arrives at a small town on the outskirts of the region, where they're greeted by local leaders and community representatives. The town is surrounded by large swaths of undeveloped land, where they plan to set up the first waste-to-energy plant. The air is thick with dust, and the infrastructure is rudimentary at best, but the potential is clear. The local leaders are cautious but open to the idea. Kofi, Maya, and Jake are standing together as they prepare for their first community meeting. Kofi, looking around. This place is definitely different from what we're used to, but if we can make this work here, we can make it work anywhere. Maya. That's the plan. We need to connect with these people and show them that this project will help improve their lives. It's not just about waste management. It's about creating jobs, improving health, and providing clean energy. As the local leaders arrive, the team begins to set up for the meeting. Kofi steps forward to greet them, offering a handshake. The local leaders, an older man named Mr. Mensa and a younger woman named Fatima, look skeptical but polite. Mr. Mensa, we've heard about your project, but we're not sure how this will affect our community. Waste management is an issue, yes, but what you propose is new, and we've had promises before. Kofi, we understand your concerns, and we're not here to make promises we can't keep. We want to work with you to build something that benefits everyone. This project will create jobs, provide affordable electricity, and help improve the environment. We're not here to impose our solutions. We want your input, your participation. Fatima, the younger woman, looks intrigued but cautious. Fatima, and how do you plan to involve our community? We've seen so many projects fail because they didn't understand our needs or culture. Kofi takes a deep breath, realizing that this is the moment to convince them that this project will be different. He looks to Maya for support, and she steps forward to elaborate. Maya, we're not just coming in to build and leave. Our success depends on your involvement. We'll be working with local teams, providing training and skills development. We want the community to take ownership of this project, and we'll be there every step of the way to make sure it succeeds. Kofi, and we're starting with small steps. We'll build the plant together, and we'll make sure it's done in a way that works for you, not just us. Your people will be the ones who keep it running in the long term. The room is quiet for a moment, and Kofi can sense the doubt lingering in the air. Mr. Mensa looks at Fatima, then back at Kofi. Mr. Mensa, it's a big commitment, but if what you say is true, then perhaps this could be the solution we've been waiting for. Fatima nods, her expression thoughtful. Fatima, we're willing to listen, but we need more details. How will you make sure the benefits are distributed fairly among our people? Kofi, sensing a shift in the conversation, moves forward, addressing their concerns with careful consideration. Kofi, we've developed a model that's not just about providing services, but about empowering people. We'll create local management teams, involve women and youth in the decision-making process, and ensure that the benefits, like jobs and training, are available to everyone, especially the most underserved groups. The leaders exchange looks, and Kofi feels the tension in the room shift slightly. The door to collaboration is opening, and the team knows that this is just the beginning. Fatima speaks again, her voice more resolute. Fatima, all right, we're willing to give this a try, but we'll need to see a clear plan, with milestones and timelines. If you can provide that, we'll work with you. Kofi nods, his face breaking into a smile. This is a breakthrough, and it feels like the first real step in bringing their project to life. Kofi, we'll have everything ready for you in the next few days. Thank you for trusting us to work with you. This will be a partnership, and together, we'll make it succeed. Building trust. Over the next few weeks, the team has been working closely with the community, holding workshops, and meeting regularly with the local leaders to ensure everything is on track. The first phase of the project is underway, and the foundation for the plant is being built. Kofi and his team are now spending a lot of time on site, overseeing the progress and continuing their work to engage the local people. The mood is more positive now, and the community members are beginning to trust the project, though there are still challenges to overcome. Kofi is standing with Maya, observing the construction site as workers, many of them local, are busy with the groundwork. The sound of heavy machinery fills the air, but the sight of the workers is encouraging. Maya turns to Kofi, her face filled with quiet pride. Maya, look at this, Kofi. It's actually happening. This is the first step toward making our vision a reality. Kofi watches as a group of local men and women work together, moving materials and working with the construction team. There's a sense of unity, and it feels like progress is being made. Kofi. Yeah, but we need to keep pushing. The hard part's not over. We need to make sure this works for everyone, and we have to stay on top of the training and education for the community. Maya. We will, one step at a time. We're not just building infrastructure, we're building trust. Kofi looks out over the site, feeling a sense of fulfillment wash over him. It's still a long road, but for the first time, he feels like they're truly making a difference. A step backward. A few weeks later, Kofi and his team are back in the meeting room, reviewing the progress on the ground. Despite the positive momentum, things aren't going as smoothly as they had hoped. There have been delays with the construction and some challenges with the local supply chain. Kofi is seated at the head of the table, his fingers running through his hair in frustration. Maya is going over the most recent updates on the project's timeline, and Jake is on the phone with the logistics team, trying to sort out some of the issues with the local suppliers. Kofi, frustrated but determined, trying to figure out how to solve the issues the team is facing. Maya, calm under pressure, working through the updates and trying to find solutions. Jake, busy on the phone, coordinating the logistics side of things. Kofi looks up from the financial report in front of him and meets Maya's eyes. He can see the concern in her expression. Kofi, this isn't what we planned. These delays are eating into our timeline. If we don't get things back on track soon, we'll risk losing the momentum we've worked so hard to build. Maya nods, placing her laptop down and looking at Kofi, her face serious. Maya, I know, Kofi. I've been reviewing the construction schedule and we're behind. But we can still make up for lost time. We just need to be strategic about how we approach the next phase. Kofi leans back in his chair, rubbing his forehead, trying to stay composed. He's aware of how much is riding on the success of this project, and the pressure is starting to mount. Kofi, I've been thinking, maybe we need to reassess how we're managing the local supply chain. There have been so many breakdowns, and I'm wondering if we're relying on the wrong partners. Jake finishes his call and joins the conversation, his expression thoughtful. Jake, it's possible. The local suppliers are a bit underprepared for a project this scale. I've already made some calls, but we might need to bring in additional support from outside the region. That'll push the timeline back even further, though. Maya considers the options, weighing the pros and cons of both. She looks at Kofi, her voice calm but firm. Maya, we can't afford to lose more time, but we also can't risk compromising on quality. Maybe it's time we bring in those outside resources. It'll be an additional cost, but it could save us in the long run. Kofi nods slowly, absorbing the weight of the decision. They've already been working on a tight budget, and bringing in outside contractors will push the project's expenses higher. But at the same time, it might be the only way to move forward. Kofi, all right, let's get the ball rolling with the outside suppliers. I'll go over the finances again and make sure we can cover the additional costs. We'll have to tighten up in other areas to make this work. Maya and Jake both nod in agreement, and they get to work, drafting new proposals and reaching out to suppliers. The meeting is filled with focused energy as the team plans their next steps. Even though the setbacks are frustrating, they're not giving up. Kofi is determined to make this work, no matter the cost. Building momentum. Again. A few weeks later, the team is back on track. The outside suppliers have arrived, and the construction process is finally beginning to pick up speed again. The foundations for the waste-to-energy plant are taking shape, and the first local team members are starting their training. Kofi, Maya, and Jake are on site, overseeing the progress and ensuring that everything is moving according to plan. The air is filled with the sounds of construction, machinery running, workers coordinating, and people talking excitedly about the future. Kofi, feeling a renewed sense of hope as he sees the progress being made on the ground. Maya, leading the training efforts for the local team, ensuring that they understand the project's goals and their role in it. Jake, coordinating the logistics side of things, overseeing the delivery of supplies and materials. Kofi stands at the edge of the construction site, watching the workers move with purpose. He feels a sense of pride as he sees the project taking form. Maya walks up beside him, smiling as she surveys the scene. Maya, It's coming together, Kofi. Slowly but surely. The team is really getting into the swing of things. Kofi smiles, his heart lifting as he watches the workers carrying materials and setting up equipment. Kofi, yeah, it feels like we're finally on the right path. But we can't let up now. We need to stay on top of every detail. Maya nods, her eyes scanning the site. She looks at Kofi, a sense of excitement in her voice. Maya, this is just the beginning, Kofi. We've got a long way to go, but we're finally making progress. It's going to be worth it. Jake walks over, wiping his brow and grinning. Jake, the logistics side's moving smoothly now. I think we've got all the materials we need to get the next phase rolling. The local team is solid, and I've had some great conversations with the partners about getting the operations up and running sooner than expected. Kofi feels a renewed sense of optimism. The team has overcome the early setbacks, and now they're finally seeing the fruits of their labor. Kofi, let's keep this momentum going. If we can hit all the right milestones, we'll be ahead of schedule. And that's how we'll make this project a success. The team continues to work hard over the next few weeks, and as the plant nears its completion, the sense of accomplishment grows. The local community is more involved than ever, and there's a genuine sense of ownership beginning to take root. The project is more than just a business now, it's a part of the community's future. First day of operations. The day has finally arrived, the first day of operations at the waste-to-energy plant. The facility is ready, and the team has spent the last few weeks preparing for this moment. The local team is gathered for the official launch, and Kofi, Maya, and Jake are on site to oversee everything. The air is filled with anticipation and excitement as workers are about to begin processing waste for the very first time to create energy. The entire community is watching, eager to see how the project will unfold. Kofi, standing at the front of the plant, watching as the workers prepare to start the machinery, he's filled with pride and nervous excitement. Maya, leading the local team, guiding them through the first day of operations, ensuring everything runs smoothly. Jake, managing logistics, overseeing the delivery of the first batch of waste material that will be processed. Local workers, the community members who have been trained and are now ready to operate the plant. Kofi stands with Maya and Jake at the front of the plant, watching the workers prepare the machinery. The plant is bustling with activity, and the hum of machines coming to life fills the air. Kofi takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Kofi, this is it. It feels surreal. Maya, smiling. It's been a long road, but here we are. This is what we've been working toward. Kofi looks around, seeing the local workers moving with purpose, some working the control panels, others preparing materials for the waste-to-energy process. He's proud of the progress they've made, but he knows that the real test is just beginning. Kofi, I just hope it all works the way we've planned. We've put a lot of work into this, and I want to make sure the community benefits like we've promised. Maya places a hand on his shoulder, her voice calm but firm. Maya, we've done everything we could to make sure it's a success. Now we just need to trust the process. We're creating jobs, improving lives, and helping the environment. We're already making a difference. Kofi nods, taking a moment to look at the plant. It's not perfect, but it's a start. He watches as the workers begin to process the first batch of waste, turning it into energy. There's a sense of excitement in the air, but also a little tension as the team waits to see if the system will run smoothly. Jake walks over to Kofi, wiping his brow with a smile. Jake, everything's in place. The first batch is going through without a hitch. We should be seeing some energy production shortly. Kofi feels a wave of relief wash over him, but there's still a part of him that feels anxious. This is the moment that will determine whether their vision is truly going to work on a large scale. He watches as the waste is processed, the first signs of energy starting to flow through the plant's grid. Kofi, this is only the beginning. If we get this right, it'll change everything. But we need to keep improving, keep learning. Maya, we will, one step at a time. The day continues with the plant running smoothly. The local team works diligently, and the first batches of energy are successfully generated. Kofi, Maya, and Jake stand together, watching the results unfold. The community members who have gathered around to see the launch cheer as the plant successfully processes the waste, turning it into usable energy. The sense of accomplishment is undeniable, but Kofi knows that this success is just the beginning. There's still a lot of work to do, and they need to make sure that the project remains sustainable and scalable. Overcoming the first hurdle. A few weeks into the plant's operations, things have been going well, but Kofi and his team are faced with a challenge. While the energy production is stable, there have been issues with the efficiency of the waste-to-energy process. The plant isn't generating as much energy as initially expected, and the local team is starting to get discouraged. Kofi, Maya, and Jake are sitting in their meeting room, reviewing data from the plant's first few weeks of operation. Kofi, frustrated but determined to find a solution to the efficiency problem. Maya, analyzing the data and looking for potential solutions, trying to keep the team focused. Jake, managing the operational side, coordinating with engineers and technicians to find a fix. Kofi looks at the reports, his brow furrowed in concentration. The numbers aren't adding up, and the efficiency is lower than expected. He leans back in his chair, frustration evident on his face. Kofi, this isn't what we planned. If the energy production doesn't increase, we're going to have a major problem on our hands. Maya looks up from the reports, her face thoughtful. Maya, it's a setback, but we've seen worse. We just need to figure out what's causing the inefficiency. It could be something as simple as adjusting the temperature settings in the reactor or tweaking the waste composition. Let's dig deeper into the data. Kofi nods, trying to stay calm. He knows that the team can fix this, but the pressure is building. Jake walks in, holding a report from the engineering team. Jake, the engineers found a potential issue with the filtration system. It's not fully optimized yet. They're going to work on recalibrating the equipment, but it'll take a few days. Kofi rubs his temples, the weight of the situation starting to take its toll. Kofi, a few days? We don't have that much time. We promised the community and the investors that this would work, and I can't afford to let them down. Maya stands and walks over to Kofi, placing a hand on his shoulder. Maya, we're in this together, Kofi. We've faced setbacks before. This is just one more hurdle to overcome. We'll find a solution. Kofi looks up at her, his eyes filled with determination. Kofi, all right, let's get the engineers to work on this. I'll talk to the local team and let them know what's going on. We can't afford to lose their trust. The team gets to work, coordinating with the engineers and the local team to troubleshoot the issues with the filtration system. They work long hours, making adjustments to the process. Over the next few days, they begin to see improvements in the efficiency of the plant. Slowly but surely, energy production increases to the expected levels. A new beginning. After days of hard work, troubleshooting, and testing, the team has finally managed to fix the inefficiency problem. The filtration system has been recalibrated, and the energy production is now at optimal levels. The plant is running smoothly, and the local team is confident in its operation. Kofi, Maya, and Jake stand together outside the plant, watching the operations unfold. The sun is setting behind them, casting a warm glow over the scene. For the first time in weeks, Kofi allows himself to relax. The weight of the journey begins to lift. Kofi, reflective, feeling a sense of accomplishment after overcoming the setbacks. Maya, calm and content, satisfied with the progress made. Jake, smiling, his relaxed demeanor returning after the tense days of problem-solving. Kofi watches the workers move efficiently, their confidence growing with each successful operation. He turns to Maya and Jake, a genuine smile on his face. Kofi, I can't believe it. We've made it. This is really happening. Maya, nodding. We've come a long way, and this is just the beginning. The community is seeing the results, and trust is building. We've shown them that we can make this work. Jake, and the investors are happy. The energy production's at full capacity, and we've even exceeded some of the initial projections. I'd say it's a success. Kofi takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything they've been through finally lift. The challenges weren't easy, but they had persevered. They had taken risks, worked through setbacks, and now they had succeeded. He looks at the plant one last time, feeling proud of what they've accomplished. Kofi, there were times when I thought we wouldn't make it. I almost lost hope. But we pushed through, together. That's what made all the difference. Maya, smiling. That's what teamwork is all about. You can't do it alone, no matter how big the dream is. Jake. And the people we're helping, this project isn't just a success for us. It's for everyone. The community, the environment, and the future. Kofi nods, looking out at the horizon. The path wasn't easy, but it had been worth every step. The project had created change, brought a community together, and proved that with determination, anything is possible. Moral lesson: success is not achieved overnight. It comes through hard work, resilience, and collaboration. The journey toward any goal is often filled with setbacks and challenges, but those obstacles are not the end. They are opportunities for growth and learning. It's in moments of doubt and difficulty that true strength is built. When we come together, work as a team, and stay focused on the bigger picture, we can overcome any hurdle and achieve what once seemed impossible. Never give up, and never underestimate the power of persistence and unity in the face of adversity. What an incredible journey Kofi's been on. From struggles to triumphs, his story proves that with perseverance, anything is possible. If you find Kofi's journey inspiring, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. Subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell to stay updated on the next chapter in Kofi's journey. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.